In a move that is likely to bolster the Palestinian cause and strain relations with Israel, Spain, Norway, and Ireland say they will begin to recognize the state of Palestine on May 28th. The move comes after several European Union countries indicated in recent weeks that they plan to make the recognition, arguing a two-state solution is essential for lasting peace in the region. While some 140 countries have already recognized a Palestinian state, more than two-thirds of United Nations members, none of the major Western powers have done so.
Today, Ireland, Norway and Spain are announcing that we recognise the state of Palestine. Each of us will now undertake whatever national steps are necessary to give effect to that decision.
Irish Prime Minister Simon Harris says he expects other countries to follow their decision in the coming weeks after announcing they will recognize a Palestinian state. Harris said a two-state solution was the only credible path to peace and security for Israel, Palestine, and their peoples, adding it has particular resonance in Ireland given its history.
Taking our place on the world stage and being recognized by others as having the right to be there was a matter of the highest importance for the founders of our state.
Similar announcements were made in Spain, where Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said the move was aimed at accelerating efforts to secure a ceasefire. And Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store adding he hopes the move will bring peace with Israel. Before today's announcement, just over 140 out of 193 member states of the United Nations recognized a Palestinian state, including most of the global south, Russia, China, and India. Leadership in Palestine welcoming the news and hoping other Western countries will follow.
This is the only way to achieve peace and stability in the world. So far, the Israelis and the Americans are against these steps, but the whole world is with us.
The move comes as Israeli forces have led assaults on the northern and southern edges of the Gaza Strip this month, causing a new exodus of hundreds of thousands of people and sharply restricting the flow of aid, raising the risk of famine.
הכוונה של מספר מדינות באירופה להכיר במדינה פלסטינית.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called today's move a, quote, prize for terrorism, adding Israel would be undeterred from winning the Gaza war.
They are telling Palestinians that educating children to terrorism and refusing to accept a Jewish state pays off. There is no talk of bridge building, of coexistence, of bringing people together. No. These countries encourage and perpetuate war. More conflict, more bloodshed, not less.
Meanwhile, Israel's strongest ally, the United States, is pushing back on the move as well. Where on Wednesday, a White House spokesperson said President Joe Biden believes a Palestinian state should be recognized through negotiations, not through unilateral recognition.
Each country is entitled to make its own determinations, but the U.S. position on this is clear. President Biden, as I just said, has been on the record supporting a two-state solution. He has been equally emphatic on the record that that two-state solution should be brought about through direct negotiations through the parties, not through unilateral recognition.
Despite pushback from Israel and the U.S., experts say the move by the three European countries could be the start of a bigger movement.
Nothing will change today or tomorrow, but it could be significant if this starts a trend and if more states were to follow in the coming days, weeks, and months.
In response to the announcements, Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz ordered the immediate return of the Israeli ambassadors to the three countries for consultations and warned of further severe consequences. We're joined tonight by international human rights lawyer and senior fellow at the University of Ottawa, Neve. Alex, why is the decision by three prominent EU nations to recognize a Palestinian state so monumental?
Well, obviously, it is monumental. They're not trailblazers. There are around 140 other states that have already recognized Palestinian statehood over the years. But it is significant in that it is three European states. And that really, I think, points to the likelihood that we're starting to see a significant shift now in Europe's position and an attitude with respect to Palestinian statehood. And next to the United States, the politics of what European nations think about Israel-Palestine is very, very important. And so I think there's more to come. We already have a sense that, for instance, Malta and Slovenia are likely to follow suit, and there's even discussions as to whether countries like France may eventually do this as well.
You mentioned there that not every EU nation is on board yet, and we did hear today that U.S. President Joe Biden will not unilaterally accept Palestine as a state. But why would some countries be opposed to a Palestinian state? I mean, Palestine has historically been around since 10th century BCE, so what exactly is the issue?
Its politics is what's standing in the way here. Obviously, the Israeli government has a very strong position, and unfortunately, I think with time, particularly under the current extremist right-wing government of Benjamin Netanyahu, this is even more the case, that while over 30 years ago they signed on to what's known as the Oslo Accords, which is where this whole commitment to a two-state solution was enshrined in an international agreement, but the reality has been that there's forces within Israel that don't want to see that happen, and those forces, I think, especially recently, have been on the ascendant. They have a considerable amount of power in the Netanyahu government, and they're able to exert considerable influence with other nations, and certainly the United States is the top of that list.
Now, outside of politics, you're a human rights lawyer, so can you explain if denying Palestinian statehood infringes on their rights?
Well, one of the most important human rights enshrined in international human rights treaties is what is simply known as the right to self-determination, that people, and I think no matter what your politics are, everyone would accept and agree that Palestinians are a people. And the right to self-determination makes it clear that a people has the right to determine their future, to determine their political arrangements, to determine how they govern themselves, and that absolutely should and could include, certainly in circumstances like this, the right to be, and most importantly, to be recognized and treated as a nation. And the refusal to do so, it's not just, in a theoretic sense that, oh, isn't that unfortunate, the right to self-determination is being denied. But when that right is violated, it goes to so many aspects of daily life, of dignity, of survival, of physical integrity, of economic well-being. If that sense of autonomy, self-determination, and nationhood is being denied to people, then there's so much else that goes wrong. There's so much else that is also being denied that people, and that's why this matters so much.
We always value your insights here on Trending Now, Alex. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for the opportunity.